Hey, this is Seth with In-Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Mickey, who took my course back in 2020 during he had been let go of his job during the pandemic and needed a new career path. He had been working in accounting and didn't like it very much. He took the course, got his first entry-level SEO job. And now, a few years later, he makes $100,000 a year. Plus, he has freelance clients. So he makes an additional $1,500 a month from freelancing. He absolutely loves this career path very much more than he did his previous path in accounting. And I wanted to show you guys again what is possible if you approach this as a long-term career. I'm very excited to share Mickey's story with you. Thanks for being here, Mickey.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your current job that you have right now?
Yeah, for sure. I just started 3 weeks ago, so very fresh. I have a lot of autonomy. I work at a company called Full Steam. We do a lot of local SEO specifically for like limousine rentals or dumpster rental companies. It's a very niche industry, and you know, company's great. The people I work with is super great, and I really get to like come up with my own recommendations and actually implement them. So I can't really say that for a lot of other companies. I had a lot of people over me kind of running the show, and I would just kind of do whatever they ask. So I'm at a place right now where I really enjoy, and it feels like I'm freelancing, but for a company, essentially.
That's fantastic, man. And as far as salary goes, how much are you making? And then, is this kind of what you'd been making, or is this more than you'd been making in the past?
Yeah, so I've only grown in terms of like what I'm making. I'm making 100,000 a year right now with around 3% annual bonus. This is the first time I've ever gotten a company that gives out bonuses, so it's a good sign right off the bat. When my first company that I worked for was a startup, and I did the typical Acadium route where you work for free for 3 months, and then after that, it was like around 35,000 a year to start. Wasn't thrilled with it, but didn't want to leave because I was learning so much. And like I had to really grind it out to because I knew the potential of what I was doing. And then from there, a little step up, another agency I worked for was around $20 an hour. And then from there was a huge jump from $20 an hour to 72,000 a year. I just skipped all the middle ground. Was not expecting that. It was a crazy phone call. I was out of job. Didn't have a job for like 3 months, and I was trying to find. I was applying for all these low paying jobs, and I eventually was like, I should start paying for what I'm worth, and I actually got the job I wanted. It was 72,000 a year, and I worked there for around 2.5 years, which I learned so much. And I actually started my freelance career while I was doing that because you know, I got good at what I was doing, so I had more time to kind of do my own thing at the same time, and I was able to do it. I wasn't like breaking any rules with the company. Um, and that's I made sure like my current company, I'm able to still freelance, and it won't like, I'm not really competing against their clients. So yeah, it's been a journey in terms of salary, that's for sure.
That's awesome, man. And then, I mean, it's funny. It sounds like I usually say to people is that you're going to probably start out anywhere in the 30s, 40s, or 50s. I've even had students now getting hired at 57,000 in their entry level job nowadays. But it can vary. And then once you leverage that, that's when you can get up to 60. And mostly within 2 years or so, you can get up to 70. It sounds like you did that, but you stayed at the lower level for just a little bit longer. But it doesn't matter because what I always try to let people know is this is a long-term investment. And now you're at the six-figure level and you'll be there for the rest of your career. Um, and what's also really important is it sounds like you enjoy your job, which is, again, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I'm going to work in finance. I'm going to work in, I'm going to go to law school. It's like, well, yeah, you may not love it. Or in
Yeah.
engineering, a lot of people come to
Mhm.
digital marketing from engineering or accounting because they're making okay money, but they don't really enjoy it. So in your case, this is a good a unique story to share with people. Let's go back to when you first got into digital marketing. That was back in 2020. What were you doing before you found my course in digital marketing?
Yeah, back in 2020, I was in Houston, Texas. I'm in Austin, Texas now, but I was working at an oil and gas company. I had to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to work. Uh, so I was a pricing specialist. So basically I would just price gas all day long for, whatever the market was doing for whatever client was buying the gas. It was really tedious. So like, I can't even spin it to sound like a cool job. Um, yeah, and I was doing that for around 10 hours a day. And maybe around 6 months of doing that. And then COVID hit. So, oil and gas companies are the first to like let people go. Um, because it's COVID, no one's driving, gas prices are tanking. And yeah, and actually I wasn't enjoying it during that time. So that's when I, looked through how to, what other jobs can I make? I think I typed in how to make money online. Like it was very, very broad right in the beginning. And then slowly but surely I found you on YouTube and then started watching a bunch of your videos. And I was like, oh wow, what is SEO? Like I started researching SEO. I actually knew someone who did SEO, and they actually weren't very helpful. I was trying to see if I can get a quick job, but they were just like, yeah, you just need to read a lot of books, and then maybe you can get to where I'm at. I'm like, okay, cool, great advice. And then just watched a bunch of your interviews. I just thought they were super motivating. Like I would listen to your interviews like a podcast while I was doing the pricing of the gas. And I just couldn't get enough of it because it's just like over and over again that people were getting out of the current job they were at into a job they actually liked. Not one time they were like not one time did they get into either SEO or PPC and they didn't like it, probably because the freedom and like they actually, you know, it just, I don't know, something about it. It's just super enjoyable. For me, I think it's super enjoyable because I'm actually confident in it because so I'm learning so much and there's so many resources available to where like you can get confident. And for like oil, gas, and accounting, it's really hard to become confident at it. At least for me, I didn't get it. Some people get it really easily. It wasn't me. Um, yeah, and I just did that, and as soon as I got let go from COVID, then I started grinding at the course. I just told myself, look, if you're just spending doing a whole day doing nothing and not doing the course, like you don't want it bad enough, and like one small pep talk, and I just kept going. So it was great.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, we're going to get into that. I mean, but it sounds like you really enjoy this work. You've kept at it for 4 years, and there is something unique. I mean, yeah, there's some people that may love accounting. I mean, I don't know how common that is, but
Yeah.
you'll see in all these interviews, and myself included, I have an art background, a film background, but I loved SEO and PPC. There's something very mentally engaging about the problem solving of SEO. There's all these tools, you're researching, you're trying to figure things out, you're coming up with solutions. It's very dynamic versus like, driving around to gas stations and writing down what the gas prices are. Or even in accounting, it's very like da, da, da. I think in accounting, if you get to the point where you're like a forensic accountant and you're doing like, problem solving, maybe, but like basic bookkeeping and all this, I've talked about bookkeeping and accounting. It's a good, solid, stable career, but it maybe not be as intellectually as engaging as digital marketing. So you kind of summarized before, but you took the course and then you did kind of an internship and then you got, what was your first job like? And even though you weren't making a huge amount of money, how did you enjoy it compared to say the accounting?
Yeah, it was great. Like I still had an interview for the apprenticeship through Acadium. So like I already like from your course, my wife had a website, so I started optimizing her website, aligned with what you were teaching at the course. And then just using that experience was landing me the apprenticeship. Um, and then I lucked out because my boss there at the company I worked for he was great. Like he was an actual mentor. I would basically my job consisted of me just asking him a million questions all day long, and he would just answer it with a paragraph. Like he was super patient with me. Not a lot of people are just super patient, and usually people are like, if you can Google it, don't ask me. But he was super patient, and lot of times these kind of things are super niche to Google. So you can't really Google every single SEO question out there. You just kind of like you got to have the experience. You got to know what works a lot of the times. And yeah, he was great. That's when I started my keyword research. I did a little bit of keyword research for all his clients on a local scale. And then we use like a tool called Hike SEO, and we like white labeled this service to where I would set up all our clients' websites on Hike SEO, and it would just tell them exactly what they needed to do in terms of to optimize their website. So I just facilitated that. It's a very entry level like skill. But yeah, I learned a lot for a year, but I just wanted to grow and wanted to like see how other agencies are doing it. So that's why I like wanted to move. I also wanted a bigger pay bump. I'm gonna be honest. And I got that year experience. Everywhere I looked beforehand, they wanted like at least 2 years, at least the places I wanted to work for. So I just knew I needed to get to that 2 year mark. So I was like, that's why I was fine with taking that another small bump in pay, doing another startup company.
Right.
So yeah, I was about a year and a half of low pay to get to that 70,000.
So you got to 70,000 within a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome, guys. I mean, that,
Yeah.
getting into 70,000 a year with no previous experience and, um, it's very fast for any career. As I said, the only careers where that really happens is maybe engineering and law, medicine, but those require tons of schooling, student debt, and a lot of mental stress that you don't get with SEO and PPC. And then it sounds like that job was also very fulfilling. You got to learn a lot more. And how did you start freelancing? Like, I know people are always asking me about freelancing, but it sounds like it happened very naturally for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say naturally. But like, yeah, so I was working at the $70,000 job for about a year. And, I was working with a big team full of SEOs and like content writers. I was very behind the scenes doing the work, and then I was just like reflecting on how like of actually growing a website on my own. And I was like, I can't really say I ranked a keyword on Google and have something to show for. And then that was really what really did it for me. And I also wanted to make some more money. Um, those two things combined, I was, definitely worried about like getting clients. I had no idea what I was doing. But luckily for me, I started pretty, um, I guess, yeah, getting my first client wasn't too bad after like saying I'm going to start, because my wife is a freelancer for a florist. She was a floral designer in Austin, and she just gave me her boss's contact, and we went from there. It was actually all through email. I've met her before, so it wasn't like she was talking to a stranger. I offered her some couple services, figure out a pricing. That was tough. Figuring out what to price your services. Um, and then she accepted, and we worked for 6 months. And so I had one client for a while, but ranked her blog top 3 in like 1 week. It was honestly one of my favorite SEO experiences, just like ranking that first keyword on Google. Um, yeah, and that was just crazy fulfilling. Not like that was more fulfilling than the money for me. Um, but the money was also great. Then after that, since I had experience in the floral industry, my wife again introduced me to another person that works in the wedding industry, and then she wanted to do a deal with me where I just offer SEO tips to her clients. She owns a floral pricing software. Um, and then from there, she would, send out my information to all these people. So I did like a presentation on SEO to just florists, and I got a bunch of clients that way. It was honestly amazing. It was great. Super nervous, super nerve-wracking, but I had to do it. It was awesome.
That's awesome, man. Wow,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, you're crushing it in the floral niche. Guys, there's so many niches.
Yeah. It's not what I was expecting, but I
That's
liked it.
awesome. Happened.
Yeah.
You said, when I say naturally, I mean, that sounds pretty natural. Your wife introduced you to your first
Okay,
client.
I guess you're right. You're right.
You
Yeah.
weren't like, I'm saying you weren't like cold calling, knocking on doors, things like that.
Yeah.
which you
But
can, you can do.
mhm.
But I also, as most of my students, I say, I definitely, you can start a freelancing only career. Most people, it's, more comfortable to have that stable income of the day job and then do freelancing on top of it.
Mhm.
But you were saying, but back to the agency, the $72,000 your agency. What was it like working there? It sounds like you had a lot more of a team. It was like a bigger agency, obviously more money. Were you working remote or in person? Like, what was it like working there?
Yeah, so all my jobs until my current job has been remote. So I'm very used to that lifestyle. And then from working there, that was the first time I was like working at a big corporate agency doing SEO. So everything was there's so many different structures. Everybody like there was a structure for everything. We weren't like creating new processes for anything. So which was something I've been like wanting since working at an agency. We had to, just do everything like we had to create everything and it's a lot of time consuming. So it was really great just going in. We have a content template. Let's create content with a content writer, and then let us SEOs like optimize it with interlinks or whatever it is. Um, yeah, that was pretty much what we did on a daily basis. Is like publish a bunch of articles for huge agencies in like Fortune 500 companies, um, and also doing technical since it's like more national level SEO. And yeah, I would always work with a team of other SEOs, a team of content writers, a team of project managers. So everyone else did their own thing, but we were still kind of pretty siloed. So like my communication wasn't, there wasn't a lot of communicating with me with other teams or other departments. There was no need for it. Um, but yeah, that definitely once I got the hang of that, it was, pretty easy. It was definitely stimulating. I enjoyed it. Um, but the freelancing is during that same time that was what I really enjoyed. So I kind of had I wanted to get that local SEO gears turning while I was doing national SEO because we weren't doing any local and I was like losing all my knowledge of local SEO and I wanted to make sure that didn't go away. Um, and I'm actually really surprised me doing local SEO now that I was able to get 100,000 because normally when I look for jobs it's usually national SEO that was offering the salary that was in the six figures, not working for like mom and pops or service area businesses. So very fortunate that I was able to do local SEO with the salary.
You mentioned that you're married. What would you say, how has your wife responded to this career path? Has she been supportive? Has it been good for your relationship to be in digital marketing? How's all that been?
Oh, absolutely. When I joined, we were still boyfriend and girlfriend, and I was working at the oil and gas company, so I was spending a lot of time away from her. And then I got home, and, super tired. We still hung out. We had a great relationship. And then even at that point, I was doing a lot of odd jobs. Like I actually almost got into a couple pyramid schemes. I was just trying to figure things out. I had a period of time when I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it. And learned pretty quickly that what those jobs actually were. So that's when I went into let's see how we make money online. And um, actually, my first course that I bought was actually like an Airbnb course on how to get property owners to let list their property on Airbnb. I tried to do that. I spent a couple months to do it, and I actually just stopped. I didn't have. Turns out you actually do need some money, and just I at that point my wife was or my girlfriend was like, oh cool, you're doing something now you're not doing it, and then now you want to buy another course. I was kind of on that course hunt, and I assured her I was like, look, this one's more realistic for where I'm at right now. Like this is how to get a job in digital marketing. Digital marketing is not made up. Like it's an actual field. People have jobs doing this. Um, and then she was a little skeptical, of course, because I've been burned in the past. And yeah, and then I did it, actually got the job, and she was really pleased. It didn't take long for her to really be on board, especially since like I was so interested in it right like immediately. Um, yeah, and then I got the job, and then it kept growing. I even got, started working remote, and then we hung out even more. Our relationship 100% 1000% improved because of it. And especially since I'm not like complaining about my job, nobody wants to hear like, you complaining about what you're doing like every single day, not even yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah,
was great.
man. That's true. It's true. It's a big
Uh,
factor in dating. I've noticed that too. I wanted to be with someone who enjoys what they do. And, that's a big factor. If they are, negative about their job, it's not going to make it for a good relationship. And then, like, when did you guys get married? Was it like recently or was it a couple of years ago?
yeah, it was a couple years ago. And we actually got married abroad in Mexico. It was awesome. That for $70,000 agency, I got to it was unlimited PTO, so I got to take off a couple of weeks. We went to Italy afterwards for a honeymoon. We definitely went all out. Um, and it was great. And I got the freedom to do it with, a job that actually like gave me some PTO. It was amazing.
That's awesome, dude. And we didn't
Yeah.
even touch on that, but I'm glad you brought it up, guys, because that's a
Yeah.
huge. It's so funny because I spent all this time in Europe, and when I live in Asia, I'm mostly with Europeans, and the way jobs are set up over there is everybody gets 4 to 6 weeks of holiday every year. It's just part of the culture. It's part of the jobs may not pay as much. There's more taxes, but 6 weeks a year there on holiday, and that's part of the lifestyle. And then I talk about what it's like in America for a lot of industries. There's this American ethic, like you just don't take time off. People just and a lot of jobs don't even offer it. One of the great things about digital marketing is a lot of agencies. I think they understand they're going to get more better productivity from their workers if they treat them well and give them paid time off. So, have you utilized PTO any other times? Do you guys like occasionally take some time for you and your wife, after the honeymoon, or were you kind of working, nonstop when you were there?
Oh, absolutely. I take, sometimes random days. Should do more random days more often. I feel like I tend to not use it only when it's like we're actually traveling or something. We take a random weekend. We just went on Google and figured out like what's the cheapest ticket. Let's go there. And we went to San Diego for a weekend. I want to do that more often. I love it. And wouldn't, like as I'm going through my career, I'm kind of setting those boundaries. I'm like, okay, there's some absolutes. I got to have PTO or I'm not even gonna waste my time applying for this job. It says a lot about the company in general if they don't have it. Um, so yeah, the job I have now also unlimited PTO, and I'm definitely gonna use it going forward. That's for sure. And I'm not gonna be
That's
afraid to
so
do it either. So
it is funny. I've heard actually because of our culture, our work culture is that I've had like people like the human resources people will be like reminding people you have to take time off. People don't want to take time off, but
mhm.
an unlimited PTO, I mean, it's more of a cultural communication. You obviously can't just never come in again. That would be kind of hilarious. You're like, I'm gonna come in next summer. I'm gone. But I think it means more like just functionally, like, yeah, you can take off a day if you need it, take off for a week if you need to. And that's awesome, man. I mean, that alone, I said that when I heard that about the Europeans, because I'd meet all these Europeans when I was traveling, and I'd be like, "Do you have a job?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, we work." I met these girls from Poland who worked for like Mars or like one of these big chocolate companies. They had an office there. And like, yeah, we're on our holiday. I'm like, wait, you get to take 6 weeks off of work, then you still have a job? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, that would change. It changes a lot. It almost makes it feel more tolerable to have an in-office job, even if it's not your dream job, but if you have this ability to live your life. And now if you have a job that you enjoy, that pays well, and you have PTO, then that's fantastic, man. Very
Oh,
happy for you.
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Um,
Like, oh, sorry, I definitely agree. I mean, you either want to work in person and you don't want to do it either. And you got to like what you're doing. You can't work in the office and not like what you're doing. Then it's not going to work. You have at least one of those has to be aligned.
yeah, yeah, it's like yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's just great to have all these different options, And there's people like, my mom when I grew up, she loved work. Like she loved going to her office and stuff like that. And other people, I know people like that who want to go into office. I had a student in Australia who's really young. He's only like 20, and he had a remote job, but he didn't like working remote because I think he was at an age where he wanted more in person, connection. Um, but I think it's great you found a job in your hometown. You got all this PTO. Um, I'm really, we reconnected randomly on LinkedIn, so I'm really glad we got a chance to connect. And I'm very happy for you and what you're doing. Um, is it cool if I put your LinkedIn under the video if people want to ask you questions?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. Like I love when people reach out. And I've had people reach out to me before. I'm like, "Oh, did you take Seth's course?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like an instant bond, honestly.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's so cool, guys. Yeah, I'll leave his LinkedIn below. Just so your actual name is Donald, but your nickname is Mickey, right?
Right. Yeah. I have to put Donald and everything because it's my legal name, but yeah, Mickey, everyone calls me Mickey, even my parents.
You look
So
like more like a Mickey than a Donald. So I think that
exactly.
so you can address him as Mickey, and yeah, you guys can reach out to him on LinkedIn. So yeah, man, is there it's been great talking with you. Thanks for sharing your story with everyone here. And is there anything else you want to say to me or anybody watching the interview right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say don't get discouraged. I was discouraged many times. Even if you take a pause on the course, get back to it. Do some things that progress your way to where you want to be. You don't have to do every single thing. Don't be overwhelmed by every single detail, every single like when you're in the weeds, don't just focus on one thing. And then if you do a little bit like 1% better every single day, you will get to where you want to be. Just small little changes.
Absolutely. And do you have anything to say for anyone so yeah, people who watch these sometimes are in the course, but there's other people who haven't taken the course and are thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody who hasn't taken a course and I would say, if it's something that sounds interesting, it definitely is interesting. You should definitely take it. It's very, I would honestly take it again. I research fundamentals all day long, and then it's no matter what level you are in, intellectually, like I was not great at school. So this definitely made sense to me. I still had to take so much notes. Just spend the time and take notes, and then it will definitely get to where you want to do. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Again, thanks for, I appreciate every one of you guys that shares yourself with other people, with YouTube, with the whole, the people watching. Everybody started out, like you said, you were watching these interviews and now you're one of the interviews and you got a great story. And I'm excited. I mean, you're still relatively early in your career, so I'm sure you're just going to keep growing from here. Definitely let's stay in touch and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Lovely chat.